athletes for this client. And when I did this shot, we did a whole bunch of portraits and different things. But when I put this together, I loved this composition. I loved this style, and I chopped this guy's head off. Okay. And so when I was putting it together, I know, well, you're not supposed to chop someone's head off, right? And when I put it together and I was done with the image, I went, this image is so cool because this guy is so amazing. He jumps out of my frame. He's such a great athlete that he just launches himself to where you just see the ball, his feet, his hands, or whatever. And so obviously, I'm cutting off his head. And so I put it out on social media, and I had people respond, as a lot of people do. And I had people say, "You are a genius. You are incredible." And then the next person would say, "You are the worst photographer on the planet. Chopping someone's head off. Rule number 1, you never do that. Terrible composition," everything, right? So then the next would, come out would be, "You're a genius." All right. So it was like this weird, one of those images where it was like the contrast of responses was on the polar opposite. Now I've had images where people said, "You suck," and it was a good many of them, or you put an image, everyone says, "Oh, I like it," right? But this image was split down the middle. And so I use it as an example to say, I like it. And that's what's most important.
Yeah.
So I use it. It's in my website. I use it in my portfolio. And it's one of those images that I still think today is a strong image. But you may hate it, and it's okay.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so let's get into secret number 3. So being a producer, reverse engineering $1 million photo.
Yes. All right. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And when we put this webinar together, it was sort of on my mind that I was thinking about how hard it is to actually get all the elements together to get that great photograph, right? So I always say you have to get the right subject in the right location at the right time of day, and whatever props, whatever. And when you go to build that shot, it's not just days, sometimes weeks of building, getting all the phone calls to get it all come together to make that photograph, right? And so when say I put it out there and someone goes, "Oh, what a beautiful shot. Oh, you got a cowboy out in the middle of nowhere with a horse. Great. What a beautiful shot." Well, what they don't know is it took me 2 weeks to get that, of all the phone calls and the arranging and putting it together. So I got to thinking about that. I was thinking that, one of the spokes in the wheels that we always often overlook is this idea that there's this responsibility on the artist's shoulders to make it happen. So what does it take to make it happen? Well, Amelie, you've produced, you do that. Yeah. It's a huge undertaking to produce something. Yeah. Now on the film side, it's bigger on the stills than the still side. The still side's easy compared to the film side, but when it comes to putting all the right things together, it's a lot. Now, here's the question that I have. Let's say it takes you 2 weeks to get a cowboy out. We're going to show that picture in a minute, but let's say it takes you 2 weeks to get this incredible shot. 30 phone calls. You gotta go, a 4-hour round trip scouting to look at the location. You got to, so you got to get props. You got to do all this. Let's say it takes you 2 weeks of work, maybe not full time, but let's say over 2 weeks, you're doing all this stuff, running like a crazy person. And then you put it all together and you get this absolutely stunning, beautiful picture. Yeah. And that picture is $1 million picture. And you put it on your fireplace, you sell it. It's hanging in, the senators' offices here in Arizona and whatever. I've got, people that buy my work. Okay. So it gets to that point where it's that image that is one of your, prized possessions. Yeah. Is 2 weeks worth it?
Yes.
Of course it is. Of course it's worth it.
Right.
Right. But if you don't do that due diligence, then you don't get that $1 million picture. And so I've been thinking lately that every time I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I got to produce a shot here. I got to start making phone calls. I start to get, got an idea, and it's like, I don't have the resources to hire a full-time producer. Wouldn't that be great? Amelie, do you want to just, how much do you charge for full-time producing?
No. I'll do it for free for you, for sure.
But wouldn't it be nice to have someone doing that for me? Well, now maybe at some point I can, I may have to drive a little teeny junker car because I can't afford, if I pay for a producer. But the point is it takes that kind of work to get that kind of $1 million shot. And so you're going to have to wear a hat that says, I got to make it happen.
Yeah, fully agree. 100%.
So here's a shot that I did. It's going to be in, it's in the dramatic portrait.
I'm removing myself because I don't want to spoil your photo.
It's in the dramatic portrait masterclass that I did. And I did these cowboys up in Tombstone. And I talk all about how I built this image in that masterclass. And not all these were lit at the same time. So I'm using my strobes very close. If I didn't, I do a background plate. So I call it platography, but it's multiple plates, and the strobes actually would be in the picture. So you'd see if I didn't have this technique, and they're really close, and I shoot the two guys in the front, I shoot the guys behind, and I shoot, it's really a tight knit shot, but it's really fun. But anyways, how long did it take me to, get 5 guys sitting around a poker table in Tombstone, Arizona in an old saloon? Well, it's weeks. And actually, in this case, because it was a master class, I had my friend Cliff help me do some groundwork on this too. But it's a lot of work. But here's this picture, right?
Yeah.
And so I say, again, is it worth the effort? Yes. And you might, in this case, I had to pay these guys, but you might have to, let's say you find someone, you say, hey, you know what? I want to do this shot. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'll pay you $200 or something, whatever. A fee that they go, oh, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'll give my, 2 hours of my day up for you. You may have to pay a little bit of money to get the right subject. Is that $200 worth it? Well, I always say yes. If I get the right subject for $200, I'll do it. Or you say, but I want to buy a new lens. I need a new lens. There's always a new lens, right? I always say, well, if I only have $200, I'm not going to put it toward a new lens. I'm going to put it toward producing a new shot.
Yeah.
And because that's going to build my career. And we have thousands of dollars of camera gear, but we haven't spent $200 on producing an image. So I think our priorities are a little bit skewed there. But anyway, you got to think about, if I have a vision, what does it take to go make it happen?
Yeah.
And it may take a little resources, make some time. It may take you picking up the phone and calling. We had to get permission from the mayor of Tombstone and the marshal of Tombstone to photograph because it was during COVID lockdown. So the good news, it was during COVID lockdown. And so everything was shut down. So I had access to the saloon.
Yeah.
It was wide open. And so we got permission and we got in there and we did our due diligence on the being careful. But I got my shot. So let's take a look at the next one. This is the cowboy, and some of you may have seen me the tutorial that I did on. So I filmed me shooting this, but I had to get the horse. He didn't have the horse. He used to be a working cowboy, but I had to get a horse. I had to get a location. I had to get him. I had to put it all together, and the right time of day, all that. And when I'm out there taking pictures, it's not that hard. The hard part was putting it all together. So I say, being a photographer is easy. Getting the right person in the right location at the right time of day, that's a lot harder. So you got to learn that skill set. So that's, I guess, one of my, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. For me, that I need to kind of put a little fire under me to get me out to produce more pictures. I got to say, okay, am I going to stay home and watch football all weekend? Or am I going to go out and produce a shot and get a cowboy with a horse in a location and get a crazy, beautiful picture?
Right.
So I need to motivate myself. And so I have to be a self-motivator, and I have to be someone who says, I'm going to make it happen. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to stay home and watch football or Netflix or play video games. I don't know, whatever it is that you guys do. A lot easier to just stay comfortable.
Yeah. But it's definitely true that preparing everything, I mean, I know it because I don't know if people understood, but I on the long term, I've been making movies for a while. I'm a film producer. Anyways, but it's true that it makes a complete difference. If you prepare everything, you have a product at the end that you're proud of. And it is part of the game. You cannot escape it. Yeah. No, I know. I've had tons of conversations with people. They just think that magically things fall from the sky. It doesn't. It never does. Earlier, I saw a comment because there's a bunch of questions and comments. Everybody will answer all the questions at the end, but somebody was saying that often people don't pay attention to all the time that is put before. Right. It doesn't exist. Like I don't know of any stories where somebody was not producing, was not persistent, and was not trying to create all the time to get to their end goal. It just I don't know of that. I mean, I would say the biggest artists, geniuses, millionaires have gone through hell and high waters to get to where they want it to be. Yeah. And okay, wonderful. Okay, guys. So in the past hour, would you agree that it's been time well spent so far? We can't cover everything that you need in this 1 hour long web class. But if you could pave your own path and create your own images, make your photography liked by everyone, and reverse engineer $1 million photo, would your photography improve? I see people already answering. So if you guys want, you can answer in the chat here. So I wanted to ask you a question. Is it okay with you, before we get into the Q&A, is it okay if we share something crazy? It's a special offer, so you can get everything you need to know. And if you act fast, you're going to have a very special deal. Okay. Wow, that is so funny. Okay, there we go. A lot of people are answering. Thank you, guys. Okay, good. So we are going to be introducing the very special offer.